A good friend of mine once told me that if you're dining with the devil, you better use long forks. Don't use a short one, use long. Let him sit on that far side, you sit on this other side here. A Ghanaian member of parliament by the name Nana Kwame Bediako. I think by now you've already known of the name Nana Akufo-Addo. And this guy is also having another name, Kwame, the founding father of Pan-Africanism, Kwame Nkrumah. Such a funny thing, he has the name of two presidents to his, and he also has another name, Bediako. I don't know what Bediako means, but in Africa, we are given names according to seasons, situations, and according to many things, you understand? Nana Kwame Bediako gave a powerful speech in the UK Parliament. Yes, the UK colonized most of the countries in the whole world. Most countries in Africa as well are colonized by the UK. Now, Nana Kwame Bediako made a speech, a powerful one by the way, in the Parliament of the United Kingdom, where he spoke a lot of things. I believe many African leaders are afraid of speaking about colonization, post-colonialism, which is highly influencing African leaders and African countries today. The things and the problems we majorly face in Africa are caused by post-colonial influences. Now, these puppet leaders are making it possible for the West to get into the affairs of Africa, mine our mineral, bring their bad seeds into Africa, like what we see Bill Gates is doing in Africa. Yes. Now let's dive into this video. Listen to what Nana Kwame Bediako has to say, and then I shall share with you my thoughts by the end of the video, where we shall also have a deep critical analysis. Let's dive in.
3 is aiming and purposefully going ahead to build one currency for the continent. And this currency, since independence, African nations have been shackled by the weight of foreign currencies and manipulated by economic systems that keep us dependent. How can we stand tall when the very foundation of our wealth lies in the hands of others? Our economies are forced to bend and break under the pressure of external influences, and our people are left vulnerable to rise and fall of currencies we do not control. The future we build will have one single African currency, backed by the immense wealth of gold beneath our feet. This currency will empower our people to take control of their own economic futures. Imagine an Africa where a farmer in Nigeria and a trader in Kenya and a manufacturer in South Africa all operate under one currency, flowing freely across the continent and creating prosperity and stability for all, just backed by the same gold we sell every day to the foreign world. No more crippling inflation, no more crashing debt driven by foreign exchange rates. A single African currency will unite us in economic purpose, shield us from exploitation, and give us the power to dictate our financial destiny. If you allow me, I'd like to take you to Pillar 4. But please, do not forget that the currency is you. Until you decide to strengthen your currency, you will not have value for it. The human resource is by far the most strongest, most powerful resource on this planet Earth. And everything will rotate around us. Pillar 4. This is a decision that I had to take the decision in front of advisory board who probably did not see the value or the future of doing such thing, because people thought that citizenship in Africa was of no value except it came from the Western or other parts of the world. But I saw it differently. I thought that if there is a land in Africa that everyone in this world is running to search for treasure. That should be the biggest citizenship in the world. See, what you see as problem, I see it as opportunity. If only you give me the chance to be a part of the people that are leading the people, then I'll definitely turn your problems into opportunity. Africa must be a dreamland. It should cost people to want to be a part of us. And every African should have pride to be an African as a citizen. And on this note, I am launching the continental citizenship in the Parliament of England. This part of the speech is a launch. A continental citizenship under the banner of United States of Africa. No longer shall an African be a stranger in their own continent. Whether you're from the highlands of Ethiopia or the shores of Senegal, from the heart of Congo or the deserts of Namibia, you are African first and foremost. But we only have borders, and we only drive cars through the borders. And every time we try to cross another border, somebody's charging us just to cross the border. So how are we ever going to be united? And how come that we belong to a continent, and every time we're going through a country, even if we had something to trade with that country, we're not allowed? Yet, you can import other things from outside. But anything from inside is not valued and is not allowed. That border we're removing. The aim is to make Africa become a borderless continent. Through investment, through commitment, and through unification. There were past leaders who thought they could unite Africa through politics. Some tried through religion. They tried with education. It doesn't work. The value that you and I have today is truly what we can exchange. What we can trade amongst ourselves bring the commitment. And that's why once we have a single currency, we have already taken 3 steps ahead to be unified. And so, this citizenship will give us the power to trade our minerals and manufactured goods amongst ourselves. This investment will also bring commitment and help us to control our destiny, our currency, our minerals, and our human resources. This is a formula to unite the states of Africa through the exchange of skills and talents. Africa will become a borderless continent where railways, water transportation, and many other ways of transporting goods will enable us to trade amongst ourselves. To achieve our full potential, this will make an African citizen become powerful and valuable and merge with our ancestral descendants of diaspora. For many years we have failed. We have fed and built the world. Our uranium has empowered Europe's sustainable energy and forged global superpowers. Our minerals, such as cobalt, are in the mobile phones, laptops, and computers that drive the modern world. Yet Africans with degrees in hand, we find ourselves blocked by borders, their potential stunted by systemic barriers. How is that we have the resources to export to continue to import products we could make ourselves? Our gold holds together the major currencies of this world. Our diamonds are symbols of love exchanged across continents. We must remain shackled by the colonial barricades impeding our growth, shall we? No. We have struggled to rebuild our society since we were separated. But when I look at my skin, I believe that whatever brought us together is far stronger than what is pulling us apart. We may be nationalized by different dialects, names, and countries, but we're united by the same principles that governs our way of living. The time has come. The time is now that we took responsibility for the mess we find ourselves in. We must also replicate the success stories of Asia, Middle East, and the West. Nations that have risen from poverty to become global economic powers. We must replicate that. We must break free from the cycle of dependency and exploitation. We must industrialize, refine our resources, and create wealth that stays on our continent. We must remove the colonial barricades that have hindered our growth and reclaim the control of our destiny. The time has come for us to not just sign contracts, but to create them for others to sign. Not just to sell what belongs to us, but to refine it so we can distribute it to those who need. We must not plead to receive what is ours. We must not reclaim it for nothing, but we must reclaim and elevate it to a rightful use. Our minerals should support the development of this world. Flowing from us to the global community, we must refrain from begging and instead focus on giving, offering what is fair and working to develop humanity beyond our expectations. We should strive to leave this world better than we found it, respecting nature and adding value in the process. Let us ensure domestic tranquility, a common defense, a general welfare, a strong continental agenda. This will form the foundation upon which our future will be built. From today onward, let our markets, our industrial vision, our production, and our manufactured goods meet global standards. Let us self-industrialize our mineral and human resources, transforming them into national and continental wealth to create immediate economic balance and foster a prosperous middle class. The privileges and immunities of our citizens should never be compromised. Let's begin to retrace our steps to regain our power, which led us to peace, freedom, and justice. This moment, I ask the universe to ignite its forces to grant us freedom, prosperity, long-lasting justice, protection, and understanding. This is not a journey for us to walk, but it is a journey for us to build. A new world for those who are yet to be born, and the young ones who are yet to live the life the way it is to be lived. This is a preparation for our descendants, not to go through the pain. That's why I chose a place like England during Black History Month to share these words of wisdom and empathy, not only with Ghanaians, but with the origin I share and the race I belong to, Africa and black people worldwide. With all that has happened in the past, a history of enslavement, extraction of our minerals, I believe that it was a phase we had to go through to understand yesterday's problems are bound to become tomorrow's opportunities. This reason why the weakness of our past should become the strength of our future. If we cannot develop our countries, then how can we develop our people? Why are we not signing the world, but the world is signing us? Instead of asking why, I think the time is now for the world to marvel at the work Africa can do and say, wow, wow, wow. It's time that we turn the story around ourselves. Let's not make the why distract us and stop us from what we truly have to do. I have come so that nations should build upon the wisdom bestowed upon me. Countries will develop, continents will be reformed, and we will be redeemed. After all, the world you call new has always existed in you. I'm here to represent Africa's greatest hope. I have been chosen not to be the best, but to be unique, ordained with tenacity, the zeal and power to build a new Africa and impact society that will historically change this world. These changes will come as a result of the 7 pillars for economic freedom, which I'm going to outline, and that's the embodiment of my speech. These pillars will serve as the foundation for a new era of prosperity, self-reliance, empowerment across our great continent. Through them, we will unlock the potential of every African nation and build a future where economic independence and social justice will go hand in hand, allowing Africans to rise and thrive. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and people of the change, join me whilst I introduce to you these pillars that will lead us to our economic freedom. And I'd like to start with pillar 1, industrialization. We industrializing our mineral resources, not selling them, but industrializing them. That's what it was given to us for. Not for other people to come and take it from us so they know what to do with it and resell it back to you as your daily needs. The time has come that we take that responsibility ourselves. That's why it's on our land. That's why it belongs to us. The universe did not give it to you so you can give it to someone else. The universe gave it to you so you can industrialize that and teach your children how to industrialize what belongs to you. In Africa today, we have to import everything that our minerals have created. Our cotton is turned to textiles, and we have to buy them in shirts because we can't create them. Ghana is the second biggest producer of cocoa, yet cannot produce any cocoa-related product that dominates the global market. The same can be said about other agro-resources that we have. We're importing food when all we need is a processing plant to our own and even export more to the world. For us to taste our own products, we have to import them and pay taxes on them because we don't have industrial power. Westerners, Asians, and everyone else extracting our minerals definitely know that industrial platforms built in Africa would take us out of struggle and the pain we face. Yet, we're not being advised to do so. I think It's time we advise ourselves what to do. Asians and everyone else is still traveling onto the space to look and search for these opportunities and treasure. I have come to introduce industrialization in Africa, to industrialize all our mineral resources by building manufacturing plants. As the likes of Asia, Middle East, Europe, and America, there is no crime in replicating a blueprint that has sustained life and created a middle-income life for other countries. We Africans must not be shy of a vision which has been done before, but will transform our lives around. There is nothing under this sun that hasn't repeated itself. Industrialization will give us the power to become exporters instead of importers. This will rebuild the balance of the economy and sustainably create an efficient lifestyle of living and a middle-class life, and bring an economic balance in terms of living and success. Pillar 2, water, transportation, and the railway connectivity. Africa is a continent of immense potential, yet we remain fragmented by lack of infrastructure that binds us together. This is the time to transform our landscape, to build the networks of connectivity that would empower our people and elevate our economies. With modern rail networks crisscrossing our nations, we will connect our rich resources to the markets where they are needed.
Ghanaians, Ghanaians, Ghanaians. How many times have I called you Ghanaians? How many times? 3 times. Now, this is a very, very promising leader, a promising African leader, and he has given a very important tenets in his speech. You understand? Africans, we have the tendency of electing bad leaders, and then later on we come and regret. Or sometimes we elect good leaders. Ghanaians, you elect good leaders, and then after some time you get bored and you oust them out of power. This is true. This has happened with Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah was a revolutionary leader. He was a kind of person who was thinking like NANA KWAME. Actually, NANA KWAME has said he is a reincarnation of his past leaders, and the past leader I think is speaking about is none other than the former president NANA KWAME, not NANA KWAME, but Kwame Nkrumah, the founder of Pan-Africanism, the godfather of Pan-Africanism. You understand? Ghanaians and all Africans should take heed of such leaders. It's once in a lifetime that we get such kind of leaders. The same way in South Africa, we had Malema. Malema was giving such powerful promises. He was promised Africans would fill up his station, his rallies. Africans would really be there. Many South Africans. But then it came to the time of election. What happened? Tell me what happened. These very South Africans were complaining that Ramaphosa was not doing a good job. You understand? But then they got a chance of voting him out, but they didn't. And so that is our nature, Africans. It's not only South Africans or Ghanaians, it is a problem of Africans. Now, this leader has made important talks, some of which I wrote them down, and I want to share them with you. These are problems that are affecting very many African countries, Africans themselves. Even I myself, if I want to go to another country, apart from countries which are part of the East African Federation, I have to pay. I have to pay money just to visit my ancestral brother, my ancestral sister, ancestral father, ancestral mother, or ancestral grandparents. You know, this is because, remember when Kwame Nkrumah said that he wanted one Africa, one country. And then they held a meeting in Addis Ababa. We had the Casablanca and the Monrovia. One group was for one Africa, another group was against it. The group that was against it won. The things that Kwame Nkrumah was seeing when he was still in those early days, he saw a problem that is now affecting us today. He was a revolutionary and a visionary leader. The same things this man is speaking about. And they are nothing new. They are not nothing new. These are things that have always affected us. Sometimes when we are used to seeing something for long, you lose the significance that thing has because you are used to seeing it. Your eyes has been used to it. Your eyes tricks your mind. So sometimes too much exposure is not good. It's not good to sing to the birds, to sing to the pigs. If you sing to the pigs, you're wasting your energy and your voice. Sing to the church, it's better. Actually, it's the best. Don't sing to the pigs, sing to the church. Now, many leaders are the ones who have pushed us back. Many African leaders have pushed us back, and they are the ones perpetuating this idea that we are facing today. The ideas of poverty, the ideas of tribalism, the ideas of nepotism, the ideas of corruption, the ideas of spending your whole life in power, it has been caused by these people. You understand? Now, Nana Kwame Bediako said this: leaders have pushed us back. By leaders, I mean African leaders, not only in Ghana, but the whole world, but the whole Africa. Africa's minerals have powered Europe and modern world. Yet, Africans blocked themselves with poverty caused majorly by our greedy leaders. Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. Niger was powering the whole world with uranium. Not the whole world, but France. Sorry for that. Niger was powering France with uranium. The whole of France was using minerals from Niger to power itself. But the average Nigerian was not having electricity. The average Nigerian was living in very strong poverty, while the average person in France was really enjoying the minerals that has come from Africa. The French were exploiting them. Niger had to kick them out. The French were exploiting them. Mali had to kick them out. The French were exploiting them. African leaders also decided to kick away Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger for kicking out the French, who are colonizing and brutalizing the resources and the people of these three African countries. So Nana Bediako is speaking from experience. He is not just speaking for the sake of speaking. Many African leaders speak, they just speak so that you can feel that they are clever, they are much educated. But I'm going to tell you this: the eloquence of speech is not the clarity of thought. Yes, just because you can speak eloquently does not mean that your ideas are logical or truthful. No. Nana Kwame Bediako goes ahead and says, we must industrialize. Africa must industrialize. Africa has been selling raw materials, and then Western countries would refine them and sell them back to Africans at a very expensive price. That has been happening. Africa is the source and Africa is the marketplace. Source and the market at the same time. So weird. Nana Kwame Bediako goes ahead and says, we must keep minerals to our country. Keep minerals to your country. That's true. The same thing that Burkina Faso decided to do when they decided that they were going to take the mining license of Niger to themselves and not France is a revolutionary take that they did. Imagine a foreign country or somebody coming to your house and saying, this part of the house is mine, and here is the papers to show it is mine, and you are the one who pays everything for the house. Tell me, what do you think? Would you welcome such a person? It's not their house, it's yours. It's you who should make the say, not the visitor. It is you. So we must keep the minerals to our country. Niger made an example, Burkina Faso made an example, Mali made an example. The DRC is on the verge of making an example to this. Nana Kwame Bediako again goes ahead and says, remove colonial barricades. We have very many forms of colonial barricades, and the most obvious is the border policies. The border policies is a colonial barricade Africans are facing whenever they travel. I recently watched a video where a family, a man, his wife, and his two daughters, I felt sorry for them, by the way. They were driving their car from Kenya. They wanted to go to somewhere, a small town in Tanzania called Arusha. Now they packed themselves, carried their food. As they reached the border of Kenya to Tanzania, there's a border post, one of the border posts actually. It's called Namanga. Namanga is a border post. It's very beautiful and very scenic. If you're an African, you should try and visit Namanga. So at Namanga, this gentleman was told he had to pay to get into Tanzania, and he had to pay $100 per head. Imagine, he is told to pay $100 per head because he's a Nigerian who wants to get to Tanzania. So he had to pay $100, and there were 4 of them, his family, including himself, were 4 people. So he had to pay $400 to get just to Tanzania and just have a look at Arusha. Is it really worth it to pay $400 just to visit? Just visiting. You are not even sure if that $400 is worth the visit. $400 is not a little money, it's a lot. Just because he's Nigerian, he was not allowed. He is holding the Nigerian passport. But of course, we Kenyans, we have the East African Federation. We are allowed to move in and out. Even right now, if I want, it's just a 1-hour drive from where I live. I just go down there and I get to Tanzania with my ID, or sometimes without. I'm a Kenyan, but I need to show my ID. But for people who are not members of the East African community, it's a no. This is a very bad example of colonial barricades, and I think leaders should work towards dissolving. This thing should be dissolved. It should wash away. It should disappear. You know? Nana Kwame Nkrumah again said this. Nana Kwame Bediako, not Nkrumah. Don't sell raw materials, but sell finished products. Aliko Dangote made an oil refinery, and he faced a lot of backlash. You see, Nigeria has oil, and oil is always called crude oil. It has a lot of things in it. Now there's a special process called fractional distillation. Fractional distillation is a chemical process, chemical and physical. It's more of a chemical process that tries to separate the constituents of crude oil into its various fractions or into its various constituents. For example, in crude oil, we find the jelly for babies and the people who use jellies like me. We get grease, we get oil, we get petrol, we get diesel, we get propane, we get methane, we get butane. We get all such kind of fuel from crude oil. So Nigeria was selling the crude oil itself, but not the fractions. Then the fractions would be sold back to Nigeria at a very, very expensive price. Dangote looked at that and said, no, we have to work something about this. We have to stop this from happening. And so he built an oil refinery. He also adds that don't beg to receive what's yours. Do not beg Africans to receive what's yours. This is true. This is very, very true. Remember the case where an African girl in Zimbabwe was run over, killed. The US diplomat ran away. He was having the immunity, and so he would not be sentenced. The parents of this child were begging the US diplomat to come and pay for the damages he caused. At least pay the family. You understand? No amount of money can bring somebody who is dead back. But at least you should show remorse. This US diplomat, who is a representative of the United States government, never did that. The parents are begging for money from them, begging for compassion. They shouldn't beg. Sentenced and justice should be served. Africans shouldn't beg for what's theirs. This man is speaking what he knows, and I love that he's very much informed. There is a popular YouTuber from Nigeria. His name is I don't want to call his name. He said that with the Nigerian passport, it's very hard to travel. Very, very hard to travel. It's one of the weakest passports. You know what happens? What is said that happens? What people say happens in Nigeria. You know, the scamming, the this and that. I don't know if it's everyone in Nigeria. Of course, it can't be everyone. If I say it is everyone, I will be committing a fallacy of composition. Just because a few are doing it does not mean everyone is doing it. Now, with this Nigerian passport, they couldn't travel for such distances. They shouldn't travel for so many places. And if they tried, they would face a lot of frustration. It forced this YouTuber to go and buy a passport from another country in the Caribbean. It forced him to go and buy a passport from the Caribbean just for him to travel around the world. Having an African passport or having an African visa has been equaled to not having enough that it takes to visit another country. If there's a country that people should be strict on them coming, is Africa. Africa is a place, and there's many reasons why Africans should be hard on those people who want to try and come here. And when Africans try to go to their place, they refuse. It should be reciprocated. It should be equal. The equilibrium should be balanced. You understand? Now, this YouTuber was complaining, and I believe with such kind of a person complaining, there's so many people complaining under. So many people complaining under. Every African should have pride in being an African, because Africa is the powerhouse of the whole world. Africa is where it all started. Africa is the origin. Africa is the motherland, the origin of mankind. Yes. Yeah. I think that's the end of my video. That's the end of my analysis to this video. And this is EFK Original Documentaries. If you like what I do, you may want to subscribe. Support me, give me a super thanks. I will so much appreciate. Yes. Thank you for watching, and remember, every African should have pride in being an African. And this time, Ghanaians, you can make the right choice. See you in the next one.